Welcome back. Former South Bend mayor and military veteran Pete Buttigieg has made history this campaign season as the first openly gay Democratic presidential candidate, and he joins us now to talk about joining forces to help Joe Biden send you-know-who out of the White House. Please welcome Mayor Pete. Good to see you, man. Welcome back.
Same here. Great to be back. Thanks for having us.
Sonny.
Mayor, we've been talking about President Trump's alleged remarks reported by The Atlantic on the war dead, calling them suckers and losers. He has denied making these statements, but they have been corroborated by other news outlets, including Fox News. As a veteran, what was your immediate reaction to hearing these things?
Well, as a veteran, the first thing I thought of was not only what he said, but where he said some of these things. The section of Arlington for our most recent war dead, those who served in Afghanistan. And I think about the people who didn't make it back, people I served with who were not suckers, they were not losers, they were patriots. And all of us are better off because of their sacrifice. You know, this is part of a pattern that Donald Trump has shown his entire life, all the way back to when he was a young man. And because he was wealthy, he was able to arrange to have somebody go in his place by pretending to be disabled by bone spurs. So even though this is a new low, on some level, it's not totally surprising. And I think it's part of an even bigger pattern, which is just how he sees the world. If you pay your taxes, in his view, you're a sucker. If you take your own SATs, you're a sucker. If you carry the burden of keeping this country safe so that others may live, you are a sucker. He thinks there's two kinds of people in the world, the suckers and the people who take advantage of them. And it's obvious which category he puts himself in.
Thank you for that, and we're stuck with him. Now, the Republican Party likes to be very vocal about their love and respect for our country's military. Over the years, we've heard that many times, and yet we're not hearing from any of them about this alleged commentary, which you just discussed. I find that kind of outrageous. In your opinion, why aren't they speaking up?
I think they're afraid. Look, the reality is so many Republicans know better than to tie themselves to this president. And one of the things I keep thinking about is the difference between being a John McCain kind of Republican and a Donald Trump kind of Republican. You can't be both. You got to pick one. And I think a lot of Republicans, especially those who are in power, those who are in office, are going to have a lot to explain 10 years from now, 20 years from now, explaining how they conducted themselves in this moment. Because so many things that this president does, they're just as offensive to conservative values as they are to liberal values. The idea of supporting our troops is an American value, and the president has turned his back on that. So, you know, right now, I think, unfortunately, for a lot of, especially Senate and congressional Republicans, this is just about power, and they calculate that they can hold on to power by attaching themselves to this figure who's not a real conservative. And, you know, it may have gotten people this far, but I think in the end, they're really going to regret it. And, you know, this is a chance. It's not too late to step forward and do the right thing, but we're not seeing an awful lot of courage in today's Republican Party. Some people starting to walk away, but not nearly enough.
Mayor Pete, you ran on a platform of overturning the old order, and you had a really interesting and compelling campaign message. And with that message, it's that you're young, you're different, and you can bring in new voters, and I think you proved that. A big question right now is whether or not Joe Biden will accept Joe Rogan's invitation to come debate Trump on his platform, which would probably be the most watched debate of all time. Trump has already accepted and said yes. As someone who campaigned on throwing out the old Washington playbook, and also I always applauded you. You did every kind of medium. I remember you doing interviews on TMZ and Fox News, and you'll go anywhere and talk to anyone. Would you advise Biden to possibly accept Rogan's offer, or maybe go to another unorthodox place to debate President Trump?
You know, certainly in my campaign, we love going to unorthodox places to reach as many people as possible. That being said, the whole idea of a debate moderator is somebody who's neutral. And if one of them is being pushed by one of the two candidates, one of the two parties to the debate, it kind of kills the whole idea that it's going to be neutral. Look, we have an entire commission on presidential debates designed around making sure we have a fair process. To me, you know, even though I think this is kind of a fun conversation to have, I can't help but wondering why the president wants us talking about this. And I think he wants us talking about this so that we're not talking about the fact that a major part of our country is on fire, that has to do with climate change, and he doesn't even think it's real. Not to mention the fact that, the continued failure to deal with this pandemic is causing such economic pain around us. This president's, one of his greatest talents is in changing the subject. And again, while it's a fun subject to talk about, I don't think it's the most important one that's going to decide how the presidential election's going to be chosen, and also just what's at stake right now. This isn't about the show. This isn't about whether there's going to be, a lot of sizzle in the debates. This is about life and death choices that are about to be made by the next president, and the life and death choices in the hands of every voter, choosing who that next president is going to be. And we couldn't have a clearer choice. It's 4 more years of this, the chaos, the division, the cruelty, or something different.
Okay. Now, Joe Biden has been criticized for not being out and about with his supporters and potential voters as much as Trump has. In fact, Sunday, we saw Trump host a huge regulation-breaking indoor rally in Henderson, Nevada. People literally ran to get their seats. Does it make sense to try to reach voters who already seem like they've made their decisions? Well,
let me say this. Joe Biden's winning. Let's remember this. All this hand-wringing over the strategies. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we got 50 days to go, 49 days, I think. It's going to be a tough election. We're going to have to earn every vote. But let's be very clear that if Donald Trump doing these things is a strategy, as of this moment, it's a failing strategy and a losing strategy. And I think the main thing that strikes me about the way he packs his supporters indoors sometimes, you heard him, someone asked him about whether he was concerned about transmission of the disease. He said, well, they're far enough away from me. It's how little respect he has for his own people. Now, you're going to see Joe Biden, Kamala Harris continuing to travel the country, but doing events in a different way out of respect for the safety of the supporters and the voters that they're talking to. And you just don't see that same level of respect with a president who will pack people into an indoor space, often without masks. And as we know from Tulsa, some of those people got sick and some of those people died.
Yeah. Well, up next, Mayor Pate's husband, Chasten Buttigieg. We'll be right back. Come back too.